All right. Hello, everybody. This is Shirley Solis, and
Gus Solis Jr.
yeah, we're super excited. Let's just start saying hi to everybody that's with us. Hi, Susan. Hi, Kira. Yolanda. Hi, Shakira. Stephanie. Diana. R. Lori. Gail. Christy. Diane. Cynthia's here. Trisha. Heather. Ardella. Chris. Kim. Chris Kylier. Kim, Christopher, Gail, Laura, Mary, Diane, Christine, Mary, Susan, Michelle, Robin, Chris, Robin, Regina, Bon, Sally, Kendra, Susan. So you guys, it's very exciting to have you all live with us. This is going to be a great old time, and we are just going to be sharing how to win and keep the heart of your teenager. And let me just put my computer over here because we've got double computers. We got to make sure that we're checking in on your answers. We're checking in on what's going on, and making sure that we are communicating with you guys in all areas. This is going to be a really open, live workshop because our family, we take pride, not like take pride, but we really believe that one of our core values as a family is that we're very open with our life. We're very transparent. I know that typically people are kind of shocked with how open and transparent we are as a family because we will tend to share pieces about our life that most people won't share. Today we live in a world where, like, I think we've always been in a world where, like, those things that the deep, dark secrets that happen in family are not shared because, you're protecting everybody in the family. You're protecting the kids, you're protecting the husband, the wife, and their reputation or whatever. But, we also believe that if we didn't share, then you guys would know that you're not as weird as you think you are, right? So we feel like more people need to be real. This is not something that we're thinking everybody should do. We believe that we are called to do that. For some reason, we know that we can handle that. And so with that said, we do share. We're very open. We're very vulnerable. And today you guys get to ask us a lot of questions. This is an important topic. This is something that is very dear to our heart. This is something that's important to you because ultimately, if you are on this training, it's because you have a teenager. Or I know there was one person that signed up, and in the survey they said, well, I'm signing up because I don't have a teenager yet, but I want to learn. So kudos to you because you are in essence here learning and trying to learn, right? So if you're here, it's because you have this teenager at home and maybe you feel like they already have some of the symptoms of losing their heart. So let's talk a little bit about the symptoms of what it looks like for parents when they've lost their teenagers' hearts, okay? So let me go over to the chat just in case you guys start sending questions. So what I'm going to inspire you to do is as soon as we start talking and we start sharing, you guys just go ahead. If you have any question, it pops up. This is going to be very dynamic. We're not going to have slides. We're not going to have, anything that pops up. We're just going to be very interactive. You guys at home, we're here in my beautiful office that I love. This is just a super girly office. And do you see this? This is beautiful, right? It's a full circle of family and what it means. This is just a beautiful plate. And let me show you up here. I love this thing that says family. You see the family tree up there? I just love that. It's like solid wood, absolutely gorgeous. And this piece that I have back here, I know sounds like small talk, but it's not. This piece right here, this was like a very ugly beige. And I saw it and I decided to buy it because I had seen, this office that I have, I had seen like a picture of it and I said, that's exactly what I want. So I bought this piece and I painted it. And, and as I was working through it, I thought, oh, I don't know if this is going to turn out to be good. Like I know what I wanted it to look like, but as I was painting it outside, it was this antique beige, like from the 70s, solid wood piece, like solid wood with lights and everything. But it was just solid wood, but it was this ugly beige. And I knew I wanted a gray. I wanted to put these little touches here that were going to look so pretty. But as I was painting it, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be looking good. Like, remember when I was outside painting it? I spent like 10 cans of paint painting it, and I wasn't sure if it was going to look that good. Well, I didn't know. I finished painting it, put the little knobs. I bring it into this room, And once it's in here, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And it didn't end up looking the way it looks now until I started putting all of these different pieces in it. And until I started putting all of the other pieces in my furniture. Of course, it looked amazing when I got this amazing white chair. But why am I sharing that? It's because wherever you are in your family, it may look like this piece that was beige. It's like an antique beige. It just didn't feel like it looked really good. And your family right now may like have a feel of an antique beige. You know what I'm talking about? The 70s look. Like, this isn't working. This isn't working for any piece in my house or any piece of the room. And you might be working on some things and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. You know, and even some of our clients, when they're going through it at the beginning, they're like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to work. But, you know, family takes work. To get to where we want, I knew that I had started, and I could put up my phone and show you. I could actually do that as Big Eyes Talking eventually. Like, I could show you a piece of what I actually had in mind. And you'll see that this room actually ended up looking almost exactly to what I had in mind. And I found it on the internet. I just found like girly, classy home office or something like that. And I found it. And it had a piece just like this. So you might have an end in mind, and I encourage you to start with the end in mind of what would you like your relationship with your teenager to be like. So let's make this really interactive and start writing in the chat box. What would you like your relationship with your teen like? I don't care what it looks like right now. I know that, you know, it may not look pretty. They're talking back. Some of the things that you guys answered in the survey initially was like lack of communication, hard to get anything through. They do opposite of what I want. Very strong-willed. You know, kind of like they think they know it all. Get defensive. Very defensive. Doing stuff behind your back. So I know that's what it looks like right now. But think about what it could look like in an ideal situation. Just think about it, because that's what we have to start with. Always start with the end in mind. Stephen Covey said that in The Habits of Highly Effective People. And in his book, highly recommend The Habits of Highly Effective Families, he also says start with the end in mind. So Leah says communication. Yeah, let's go a little bit deeper. I love that. So let's go a little bit deeper. Like, what does it look like active communication? You know, what does it mean that you're just communicating, or does it mean that when you communicate, each one of you is open? Each one of you is open. Like, you as a parent, you're open to sharing, and the child is open to receiving, and then vice versa. When the child wants to share with you some feedback, then you're open to receiving, because you'll hear from us that one of the things that really makes a relationship with a teenager is where they actually get to speak into your life, because news is you're not perfect. And what's happening when they get to that age is they're seeing these imperfections of you. Up to now, you've been their hero because they just didn't have the guts to tell you the things that are wrong with you. But now they're getting older. And there's things that about you that they're not liking. Now, I'm not saying that they're perfect, but I'm saying you need to listen, because some of the things that they're saying could actually make you a better person. And if your goal is to become a better person, then you have to be open. So it says, I would love for them to come to me to share their challenges, frustrations, hopes, and dreams. I love that. That's awesome. Sitting down together and listening to each other. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that, because you said listening to each other. That means you talk and they listen, and they talk and you listen. Talk about important topics. Absolutely. To grow a relationship with the father of my grandchildren. Wait, let me think about that. To grow with the father. Okay, wait. Okay, to grow a relationship with the father. Oh, with their father. So for you to grow, so like for them to grow a relationship with their father. Okay. Awesome. All right. More hugs. I love that's very visual. So more hugs. So you imagine that, you know, and hugs are a very visual effect, you know, mode of affection. What do we do with teenagers that have anger issues? Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. How do I get off your mailing list? Laurel, it's not that hard. This is hilarious. How do I get off your mailing list? I've tried, but all you do is ask for more information about me. Well, I don't know, but you obviously like me because you're still here. This is great. Laurel, send me a personal email, and I will be happy to take you off my email list. You see, guys, this is what happens when you go live. You're wanting to interact with people, and they're like, I don't like you. This is what a relationship with your teenager is. You just don't take it personal. You just realize hey, you know what? They have a certain way of seeing things and you have a way of seeing things. So Laurel, send me an email and I'll be happy to take you off my email list. And for the rest of you that actually do like me, I want to stay on, then just continue to stay on. If not, just get off. All right, open communication, to be friends. I love that. So what does it look like to be friends? Do you want it to look like friends the same way that it looks like with your best friend? What does it mean to be friends? All right. So this is good. You started with the end in mind. And that brings me back to this piece, you know, that as I was working on it, it didn't look like it was going to fit. I didn't look, but you know what? At the end, I ended up with a piece exactly like what I had seen on the picture, because I'm looking for it now. Because that's what happens. When you start with the end in mind, you'll eventually get there. So if you start with a clear picture of what you want with your teenager, then, and in your family and your relationship, but you know, this particular workshop, we're talking about your relationship with your teenager. If you get that clear, then you're going to be able to move towards it. In the process, you know, of it, you might be like, well, I don't know if it fits, you know, and you might start like adding things here and there. And the next thing you know, you love it. Okay. So that's just to show you. All right. So let's talk about what did I say? Some of the things that are the most common things that are getting, you know, like how do we know the symptoms of a teenager that you've lost their heart? So what would you say was your feeling when, you guys know, about almost 7.5 years ago, Gus and I didn't know, but we were seriously damaged from our childhood, from the way we had grown up. We didn't know, but we had huge baggage that we hadn't dealt with. We thought we had dealt with it, but we didn't. And the only reason why Gus isn't here is because he's in Nevada working on himself some more and becoming an even better coach. He's becoming a master coach, and he's been there for almost 3 weeks now. But we didn't know how damaged we were. We didn't know how many limiting beliefs. We didn't know how much of our childhood and our upbringing was affecting us. So we have this huge blow up in our family, in our marriage. And what basically Gus remembers is that he heard us fighting in the laundry room. And next thing he knows, in this room, like it used to be one whole room, Dad walks in and says, hey, you know, I'm leaving. So why don't you tell us like what you started feeling and what happened?
All right. So yeah, first I just want to encourage, well, first I want to say I'm super excited. First webinar, I've been working with my mom. So really excited to start this. And I really want to encourage all you guys to please, please, please ask me questions. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I know what it's like being that 14-year-old, being that 16-year-old, the 18-year-old, you know, young teen, and not feeling understood, being angry, having all the mixture of emotions, not being able to understand. So I really am passionate about understanding teens and at the same time helping parents understand their teens. Mm-hmm. So please ask questions. I'd love to answer them. So what was the question you had for me?
So the question was, how did you feel as a teenager when all this stuff happened? Like, so we're trying to talk about the symptoms so parents would know, like, how can I tell if my child is really going through this rebellious stage and if I've lost their heart? With that said, Gus and I don't believe in teen rebellion. We don't believe it has to happen. We do believe that it's a season where teenagers change, but it doesn't mean that they have to rebel. It doesn't mean that they have to turn against you. It doesn't mean any of that. We had 3 teenagers at once. Now we have 2 teenagers. We had 3 at once in different points, and we just didn't experience that. Is there times when you need to have more communication? Yes. But I feel like with him, we experienced it more because of what was happening in our relationship, because we didn't know how to communicate. So go ahead and share.
Yeah, so I can remember that night. And ever since then, that was kind of the changing point for me. And not really knowing what to feel. You know, Dad left, but we were all too young for them to tell us what was really going on. You know, they just, oh, we're getting in an argument, but I didn't understand. You yeah, at the same time going to church and not being able to tell anybody there because I was scared of being judged. You know, and I can remember actually telling one time a friend, and he's, you know, telling him, oh, you know, he's like, oh, can I come over? And I said, oh, you know, things are kind of going on at home, man. You can come over. He goes, hey, don't tell me that. You can't tell me that. I was like, wow.
But why did you say that?
Why did you say that?
Yeah, why did you say?
I don't know. I don't know. It's funny because a few months later, after we, you know, my parents went into a certain program that they got into to start, you know, fixing their issues and healing themselves from their baggage. A few months later, after my parents pulled his parents, my friend, into the program, he came to me, that same friend, and asked for help and was like, dude, I'm struggling with all this stuff. At that point, I think I was about 16. And yeah, he actually asked me for help and said that he was struggling with the same stuff I had been struggling with. So I found that ironic. But yeah, I remember feeling confused, not knowing, you know, going to mom and mom being like, oh, you know, yeah, your dad's a jerk, and going to dad and dad's being like, oh, your mom's a jerk. You know, a lot of outward focus. You know, at the same time struggling with my emotions, my feelings. You know, do I go to mom, but she's struggling with so much, so let me keep it in, but I can't keep it in. I have to talk to somebody, so let me go to dad, but dad's struggling with his own thing. You know, what else was it? Anger because I didn't, let me see, how did you get through it? Well, I'll keep going.
I'll read it for you.
All right. So angry because, you know, I couldn't understand. I was angry at myself, angry at God, because I was like, man, if he really does love me, why am I going through this? Everybody else in church seems to have such a nice, pretty life. Why am I going through all this? You know, why is everybody else having it so nice and I'm going through this? You know, angry at my dad because he was very absent as a father. You know, I felt like he had failed, and I was like, oh, if you would just do your job, then we wouldn't be in this predicament. You know, angry at my mom because I was like, you know, at the same time, blaming my dad. It was just all over the place. I was like, oh, if my dad would have done his job, then we wouldn't be here. But at the same time, my mom's blaming my dad. I'm like, you know what? It's your fault that he's gone. You know, so anger at both of them. So it was just a mixture of all these feelings that, you know, all at the same time, going through everything.
And like what I saw from the outside is I saw him being retrieved. You know, I'm dealing with my own stuff. My marriage is falling apart, and I'm just retrieved. I am in my room. I'm not asking, how are you doing? Because as parents, we just assume that they're doing okay. And, you know, we've kind of covered it, but if clue number one to know if your teenager is going to be going into that phase where you might possibly lose their heart is because of marriage, you know, marriage issues. Like if you're having marriage issues, then clearly it's going to affect them. Like we can't be absent of the fact that, you know, they're going to be distant. He just told you what goes on in their mind what they're feeling, you know, because even though I tried to not be as verbal as like your dad's a jerk, it's the feeling. It's like the spirit of what we know. I might have not said it. I might have been that cautious mom that tried to not ruin my son by saying that. But the child did, you know, he did experience some pain, and he was dealing with all of these things. He had these thoughts in his mind that he was wondering, and they're real thoughts. And, you know, for us as adults, it's been so many years since we've been in that stage that we forget, what were they thinking? We're just thinking of their responsibilities. We're trying to make them, you know, grown-up human beings. We're trying to make them be responsible. And, you know, we need to make you as responsible human beings so you wouldn't be going through what we're going through. That's kind of like, you know, the pressure that we're feeling that we're putting on them. But we're not putting ourselves in their shoes thinking this is all that's going on with them. So our experience of him was that he was angry. He was compliant. So you might have the child that is very outwardly compliant and they won't argue with you, but you could tell that he retrieved himself. Like there wasn't as much engagement, you know, the good, peaceful child. And you might have it. So children, teenagers, they show up their anger or their frustration in different ways. And one way they show up is like the very passive aggressive. Like I'm quiet. I hold things inside. I don't tell you what's going on. I comply with your rules because I was taught to do that. But after a while, I might blow up. And I remember one time, it was like a year afterwards, that Gus and I were not separated anymore. Things were being better, but now we had to clean up the mess that we had created in his heart, and it's funny, like we are laughing now, but it was a painful time, it was a painful time, big guy. And it was a time where I remember cutting his hair, and over cutting his hair, we had this argument. And that was the trigger for him to just kind of have a small blow up. And I say small blow up where it was like, whoa, I've never seen him talk to me that way. He had just been holding it in. And as soon as he got enough courage and enough anger inside, he just blew up. And his dad had to put a stop to it, And so you'll see a child that is very passive aggressive, kind of like Gus Jr. was, or you might see a child that's very outward. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm not going to follow your rules. But either one, they're hurting inside. It's just one child may show it one way, another child may show it another way.
All right. So being a single mom of boys, how do you raise them in manhood if I don't know to be a man? So Sally, and Leah?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the way that I would answer that is raise him to be the type. I mean, I don't know if this is correct or not, but I guess for me, I would say my answer to that would be to raise him to be the type of man that you would want to be with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it makes sense.
Yeah, so 22 years married. My husband has moved out for 4 months, given my 15 to talk back bad about me to him, and he would badmouth me to 15. I feel like I can do nothing but pray.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, it's so Tammy's sharing how difficult it is that her husband, is not, they're separated now. And there's this, when there is conflict in the marriage, you'll find that one parent is like pointing fingers to the other sometimes, and vice versa. And so even if we try not to do it, it's still like a spirit that we carry within us when there is a disagreement in the marriage, even when we try not to do it. So I would say the best approach to that is, that's why emotional intelligence is so important. That's why either if it's both parents or the one parent, to get emotionally healthy, to learn how to process your emotions, to be able to say, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling like there's a sense of mourning over my life, over what I'm losing. I feel worried, I feel fearful, and so I know many times I've experienced control, and control looked like, do this, do that, do this other thing, and control is nothing more than fear in disguise. And so what happens is when these teenagers start acting out, the parent will start being controlling. That's it. Now you're going to clean, 5 rooms. That's it. Now you're going to do laundry. That's it. I'm taking away your phone. So all of these things, we say that they're punishments or consequences, but to the child, they appear as control. And so I'm not saying that those things are wrong, to give them consequences. However, we have to notice the intention of how we're acting. Why are we acting in that way? A lot of times we may be acting out of fear. So if there's control, are you fearful that you're going to lose this child? Are you fearful that they're going to get into the wrong habits, hang out with the wrong crowd? Are you fearful that you'll lose their heart? Well, in the coaching program that we have with parents, we teach them 2 things. You can either parent out of fear or you can parent out of power. Okay, power is not like control. It's like power meaning strength out of a good place because you're a powerful person. So you can parent out of fear or you can parent out of power. And control is parenting out of fear. So you might have the same action, but if the motivation of the heart is fear, that's not going to bring good fruit. So you have to be very aware of saying, okay, am I giving this consequence with the right heart? Am I detached from the outcome? Am I detached from the fear? Am I really acting out of love for this child? Because you really have to do an internal check-in and say, do I have fear? Do I have fear? Like I had one son who he was still a teenager. And he said, well, I want to, for my 18th birthday, I want to go gambling. I was like, what? We don't even gamble. Like, we've never even gone to a casino. We've never even walked through one. Like, what do you mean you want to gamble? Like, who are you hanging out with? So immediately I went into mama chick or whatever, and take care of my chickens. And I'm like, you're not going gambling. Gus, why don't you go with him? And blah, I'm saying this. And I was like putting all these rules of like, no, you can't, and blah, and all this stuff. And then I realized I'm afraid. I'm afraid that he's going to go wayward. I'm afraid that he's going to get into bad habits. I'm afraid that this kid that I love them so much is going to start drinking because, everybody says that with gambling comes alcohol, and with gambling comes women and smoking and who knows what. I was just afraid. So I approached him and I said, look, I'm really sorry. Not this guy, another one. I approached him and I said, look, I'm really sorry. I want you to know that all of that control and all those rules, it was just me being afraid. I'm just afraid. It's my own fear. That's why I was coming up controlling. And when I did that, I was vulnerable. And when we notice our intention, when you're afraid, if you, instead of like barking out rules, go up to your teenager and you say, I'm just afraid. I'm afraid to lose your heart. I'm afraid I don't know you anymore. I'm afraid that that you're growing up so fast and I won't teach you all the right things that you need to know. I'm afraid that I'm not the right parent. I'm afraid that I'm screwing you up massively. I'm just afraid. And just speak with your heart, because when you let them know that you're afraid, they're not going to be defensive. They're not going to put their shields up, not usually, and you might not get the answer you want. You might not get this like, oh, mom, please forgive me. You might not get that. You might get the cold shoulder, but it's the beginning of it. It's the beginning of creating that connection. All right. So we talked about control. We talked about fear. There's another big culprit to your relationship with your teenager. So marriage issues is a big one. Control is a big one in creating that disconnect between parents and teenagers. Fear is a big one. I talked about that. Judgment is a big one. This happens a lot with people that go to church. No matter what faith you're from, it just happens a lot. People don't notice. You study a lot about values levels, where people are coming from. And people that go to church, not all of them, but many of them don't even notice. In church, there's like the right way to live, the wrong way to live. It's a black and white, right? I'm not saying that there is a good way to live, but I'm just saying that because of that right way of living and wrong way of living, we use the Bible or whatever faith to hold ourselves to that right way of living. And then we hold our children to that right way of living. But we try to control it. Here we go, control again, into them living that way. And we're afraid that they won't have our same faith. But that takes me to the point of asking you, well, then what do you believe God is? Do you believe that God is an insurance plan, that if your child is walking with God, then nothing bad will happen to him or her? Did it work for you? Because it didn't work for me. I had got into a relationship with God because I thought, well, if I have a relationship with God, when I start going to church, now that I'm married, the same thing that happened to my mom would happen to me. Guess what? It ended up happening to me just a whole bunch of years later. And it ended up happening to me. So I realized I had used God. I thought God was an insurance plan to live a good life. That's not what God is. That's not who God is. Sure, would God take care of me? Absolutely. But the way that he takes care of me may not be the way that I think is taking care of me. And so I realized in that moment that I didn't really know God the way that I know God. So your belief in God, your child knows isn't quite right, because you're operating out of fear. If sometimes we'd spend less time controlling our kids and more time in really getting to know who God is, they believe you more, because God is not a set of rules. God is not a set of like, do this or do that. God is a relationship. My God and I is a relationship. And the way that we do God like this is the way that we're going to have a relationship like this. So if we're living out of, you know, in church, we are kind to everybody, and then we come home and yell at our kids, we don't know God. We don't really know God. We haven't really experienced God's healing. I'm not judging and saying that. I'm just saying there's a greater level to knowing God, and it's healing and allowing God to heal your life, allowing God to take out the things that are not working. Okay. So judgment, like what does judgment mean? Judgment means like, well, I think he needs to be doing this, or I think he needs to clean up his room in this perfect way that looks like this. And if it's not like this, based on his age, he should already do that. Who says? Did your child walk at exactly 8.3 months? No. I bet every parent on this webinar, if we like said, well, my child walked at 10 months and 3 days. My child walked at 10 months, 3 days, and 2 hours. Every child is different. Your job is to train them, to guide them. They're still learning. Just because we see this huge body, it doesn't mean that they're going to be perfect. Right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So tell me, like, let's talk about the whole part of you learning to give feedback. So when I was changing, right, I was learning all this stuff about emotional intelligence. I realized I wanted to release my anger, but there was a lot of anger inside of me. Anger over what happened with my parents, anger over what happened with Gus, anger about a lot of things. So no matter how much I tried to stop yelling, it wasn't working. Like when we try to change from the outward behavior, like I'm going to not yell, I'm not going to yell, I'm not going to yell, I'm not going to yell, it doesn't work. Change has to happen from the inside out. If you're yelling, it's usually an unconscious thing that's affecting, okay, the yelling, because you don't yell, you don't wake up and go, today I'm going to yell. No, it's an unconscious behavior that happens because you get triggered by your kids, right? Because your children and your spouse is going to be the biggest trigger in your life. That's why you can be nice to everybody else. So the person that you are at home, that's who you really are. That's how you know your true character. That's how you know your true healing. How do you behave at home? And that's why we believe so much in the relationship with in parenting and family, because we feel like if you can do family, you can do anything, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I remember having tried to change and I wasn't working. So now I was actively healing myself. And sure, I could tell that I was forgiving a lot. I was releasing a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, but it wasn't fast enough. You know, this stuff takes time. So I was learning about boundaries, and I said, look, I realized that in my moments of rage and anger, I am disrespecting you. I am frustrated at what you do. And I want to give you permission to defend yourself from me. Now, it might sound crazy, but do you remember when I told you that? You may not. You may or may not. You didn't?
I don't know. We had so many conversations, honestly. Yeah, I don't remember that specifically.
Well, I remember specifically telling them, you need to defend yourself from me because I am working on myself, and some of the things that I'm doing to you are not healthy. I want you to come tell me when I am not in line, and I want you to respectfully tell me when I'm out of line. Now, this is the biggest piece of humility, because I was now giving my child permission to be my gauge. I was now giving him permission to speak into my life, because I got honest with myself and said, I am not the person I need to be. I'm not the person I want to be. I'm not going to pretend that I'm all this great stuff. I'm angry. And I was honest. And then I said to them, I'm going to give you permission to defend yourself, to protect your heart from me, because I'm still not well. So I said, if I'm disrespectful, if I'm whatever, you're welcome to respectfully tell me, hey, you're not being respectful or whatever. So do you remember that time that I went to pick you up at karate, and on the way back, I was like, rah, 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 rah. So this child in his memory. Remember, like, I picked you up at karate one night. It was like 9 p.m. and you were supposed to have returned something, and you didn't return it the way that I wanted him to return it. And I got in the car, and it's like 30 minutes back from karate, and I am super, like, I'm like, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. You don't listen to instructions, and this and this and this, and we're by like Country Walk, and we're in the stoplight. And I'm just going off, right? Because somebody's got to hear me, because somebody's got to put up with me. And he looks at me and he says, Mom, I've heard you. I know you're upset, but I don't have to put up with you yelling for another 15 minutes.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yes.
And then you said, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to get off the car, please. And I was like,
I remember.
Did I stop?
What happened? Yeah, she stopped.
I stopped. And you know why I stopped? Because I was proud of him. It takes a lot of guts for a young man to begin to set boundaries on the unhealthy things that their parents do. Now, obviously he had character where he could be respectful. Like he wasn't taking advantage of, like, oh, well, now my mom gave me free reign to speak to her, so I'm just going to tell her how it is because, you know, you're not behaving there. I'm going to tell you. Like, we had some things in place. Like, we had a family culture that we had created where they could do that. And I made sure I told them respectfully. You can speak into my life respectfully because I wanted to respect them too, right? And so he respectfully put me in my place. And he set boundaries for himself to saying, the way you're being right now, just like you would put me in a timeout or whatever, I would put you in a timeout because you're being a poo-poo parent right now. You're acting like a child. And so I was proud of him because he was doing at that age, 14, 15, I think he was, something that I never learned to do. And my goal, and I hope that your goal too as a parent, is that you would teach your children to be emotionally healthy. Because when you teach them that, they respect you. So why don't you share what it was like when Papa tried to win your heart?
Holy cow. Yeah, that was definitely a journey. Let me see the comment, these really quick.
Well, I'll read them now.
Okay.
But just, yeah. I'll read them. I'll read all the comments.
So this kind of has to do,
after this.
This kind of has to do with some of the comments that I was reading. It's not a one-time thing that you just go in and you win your kid's heart. It's a journey. It's a constant, journey, whatever you want to call it, conquest, battle. It's not. It's hard. I remember, you know. So I'll tell you from my perspective what was going on. So everything's going on with my parents. I'm so filled up with anger. I'm struggling with things young boys struggle with, keeping everything bottled up. I'm not talking about it with anybody. And, you know, my parents go and they're fixing their relationship. And so at that point, I understand it now. They had to take care of themselves, so they couldn't take care of me at the time. You know, they can't fix me if they can't even fix themselves. So at that time, they're fixing their issues, healing themselves. And after a few months, now they decide to care about me. So this is my perspective on how I saw it then. You know, so now mom and dad care about me. Oh, now they decide to care about me after I'm hurt and I'm angry. And now they decide to care. Okay. All right, mom and dad. And, you know, my dad calls me into the room. Or actually, no, I remember the first place we talked. Actually, I still remember the park. The bench is still there. And he told me what was going on, and he asked for forgiveness, and I was just like, no, I don't want to. You know, and then a few months later, I get angry, and you can tell, like, when I start getting angry, I would get more disrespectful. You know, not extremely, but just little comments here and there. Like, my parents could tell the little things I would do. And, my parents would bring me into the room and they'd, hey, what's going on? And I was like, I don't want to talk. And they're like, okay, well, it was just constantly, at first it was a constant reminder of, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm here. You can talk. I just want you to know that I am sorry for what I did and asking for forgiveness. And it's a constant, and I don't want to talk. All right, well, that's good for you. All right, pat on the back. All right, that's good that you're sorry. Your sorry does nothing for my pain. It was literally like that for months of bringing me into the room, telling me they're sorry. If I want to talk, I'm there. Okay, yeah, it's good to know you're there. All right. I remember one day just blowing up and telling them, and I was like, oh, you care so much about me right now, but where were you when I needed you? Now at that time I felt like, oh, I don't need them right now. I'm good. It was like, where were you when I was hurting? Where were you when I was crying in the closet? And for me being at the young age, I couldn't understand what they were going through. And eventually I just cracked and I was just like, you know what? And all the love and everything was just so overwhelming that I just told them everything on how I felt. And then that just kept going. And it was like, they'd do something, I'd get mad, I'd keep it in. And it was like that for several years until I was about 18, where they'd do something, I'd get mad, keep it in, and then they'd just love on me, and I know you don't like rebellion. What do you call it?
No, it doesn't matter. Okay,
well, rebellion, for lack of a better word, rebellion, and I'd get all mad, keep it in, and then they'd just love on me, literally just love on me. Hey, I'm here for you, support me. I'm sorry if, for the way that I hurt you. I know I messed up, and keep going. And then, boom, okay, I'm sorry. I forgave you guys. And then I can remember one time, one of my parents did something, and, I was so angry that I started to hurt, the certain things that I did, that I hurt my brothers. And I took a step back and I was like, whoa, what is wrong? Like, I saw how far I'd gone in my anger and my pain, and I was like, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want that anymore. So all the anger that I had inside, I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but that's eventually where it got to, is I don't want to be angry, because being angry, it doesn't hurt anybody. I was like, oh, if I'm angry, I don't feel. And if I'm angry, I keep her away. I keep my parents away so they can't hurt me. And if I'm angry, oh, I'm tough and I'm strong and it makes me strong. And it's like, no, being forgiving and forgiving them, being angry, it doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't hurt her. It doesn't hurt my dad. Like, does it bother them? Yeah, but I'm not hurting anybody but myself. The only one it damages is me. So that's eventually what, I think one of the comments was something about nagging. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to nag them.
Nag them with love.
Yeah, just nag them with love. Like, hey, I'm here for you. You don't want to talk? All right, that's all good, but I'm here to talk if you want to talk. And then a few months later, they get angry again. You can see, like, hey, I just want you to know I'm here for you. If you need to talk about anything, I'm here. And it's not easy. There are times that I literally just storm out of the room and just go to my room, and I don't want to talk. And it's like, come on, talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk. I got nothing to say to you. And, I'll just talk. And it was literally like that. It wasn't always so nice where it was just like, no, I don't want to talk. It was like me crying and screaming, I do not want to talk to you. Not being disrespectful, but not being open. Just not wanting to talk. And it's just, for all the parents wondering how to get it back, it's literally just loving on them. Meeting them where they're at, letting them know that you're there, not harassing them, just, hey, pat on the back, I'm here for you. Just a text, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, you need anything, I'm here. Hey, I know that I messed up, but I'm here, and I wasn't there for you now, but I'm here for you right now. So, yeah.
And that brings up a good point, because here's what happens is, like, a lot of parents, like he just said, you got to love them, you got to nag them so much, right, with love. It's like, you might think that loving them means being permissive. That's not the way we were. Gus actually initially, he went from being absent to then being somewhat permissive, because there was guilt around what happened. So he felt like, okay, I'm going to go apologize but then I won't set boundaries. I won't set rules for them. I won't enforce any of the rules that we have here at home, you know, because I mostly had always been the enforcer. So he felt like, well, if I'm not an enforcer of rules, then he's going to like me more. But he just took advantage of it. So an angry child is just, if you're being too much about rules, they're going to get upset. Like the teenager's going to get upset. But if you're being too permissive and like too much of what you think love is, it's not going to work either. They're going to take advantage of it. So there has to be like a healthy balance of unconditional love and rules, you know, boundaries, not rules as in too many rules. I mean, like the healthy things. And this is based on what you used to do previously, because if you've never asked your children to do chores and suddenly it's like, that's it, we're doing chores, it might be too much of a drastic thing. You know, like you have to ease into it. For us, chores were a normal thing. So when we started winning his heart back, it was like, we're going to love you. We're going to love you. We're going to love you unconditionally. Unconditionally means just like when you were a baby and you pooped all over yourself, we still loved you. We changed you. Just because he was this grown boy, it didn't mean that it was any different. It means that now you're 14 years old, your poop looks differently. You're going to mess up and we're still here for you. We're going to help you clean up this mess. And just when they were a baby, you didn't take their poop personal. Oh, that's it. He just must hate me. That's why he's pooping all over the place. This is the 8th time you've pooped today. That just has to mean you hate my guts. You must hate me. That's why you're pooping and you're pooping and pooping. And then I change you and you just be right on my face. We don't take it personal, but right? But they're 14 and you take their comments personally and you take their poop personally. It's not personal. Like if you take it personal, you're going to lose. You're going to lose the war because you're going to get tired. You're going to be like, this is exhausting. Look, that's why the best thing that you could do is work on your emotional health. What does that mean? That means knowing your emotions, releasing negative emotions. It means forgiving. It means breaking judgments. Like that's the foundation of what we teach in the parenting program, because the healthier you are emotionally, the better that you can handle the poop, the better that you won't take things personally. I mean, Gus won his heart after 2 years. Like, was there improvement a little bit at a time? There was. You know, I think it probably took like a good 6 months to break that initial little shell. Yeah. But, you know, after that, it was like, you know, piercing through the heart. And probably it was a good 2 years before I could look at them and go, they had a good relationship. When he realized he was done being mad at his dad, then he started realizing that he was mad at me. I was like, what? You know, it was horrible. So then he went from like 16 to 18 being all mad at me. And I didn't even know why. I was like, what happened? So, but I was emotionally healthy. I just knew it was his battle. All I could do was saying, you know what? You need to work on yourself. You know what? I know I hurt you, but forgiveness for you is a choice. Forgiveness for you is a decision that you have to make. And I would tell him over and over, you're hurting yourself by not forgiving me. I am sorry for what happened, but you are responsible for yourself. And I just kept saying over and over and over. And you know, here he is as a life coach, being able to teach other children and other young adults how to forgive. And all things work together for good, you know, for those who love God and work according to his purpose. So we know that all of those things taught us lessons that we needed to learn. So let's go with a few of the comments. Okay, so it says, I wonder how this will...
say something first.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Wait, really quick, let me find that comment. Where is it? I read something that I was super...
Well, we're going to go through everything.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say I'm super proud of Sally because of the comment that she said, where she says, I need to heal myself because it's making them act out the same way. That's awesome. They yell because I yell, and I yell because my mom yelled. And yeah, I'm just super... those comments stuck out from Sally a lot because, well, for me, it's one of the first comments that I've read that it's taking a lot of ownership.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's instead of being like, oh, my kids are acting out, it's like, no, I need to fix me, which is exactly what they did. You have to fix yourself, Sally, so then you can help them. Mm-hmm. You have to stop yelling so you get them to stop yelling. So yeah, just wanna.
So like not just because I'm here, mind you, we didn't rehearse this, okay? Did it really inspire you and help you when we started focusing on ourselves? Like, what did it do for you?
At that time, I wouldn't say it inspired me, huh?
Well, meaning like because we were working on ourselves, did it eventually get to you to say, okay, they're doing it? So we went from maybe being fake to being really honest and not being hypocrites about who we were. So did it help you to begin to trust us because we weren't being hypocritical? Like, I'm just wondering.
Phrase the question one more time. Sorry.
Yeah. So if it helped you, because like before we would go to church and we were like all angry and frustrated.
So yeah, it did help me because I saw my parents being very open, with the friends in the church, and feeling like my family was the only one going through what we were going through. And then, little by little, I see other families from the church start coming to the same group that my parents were going to, and seeing how my parents opening up made other people like, my parents were like, hey, we're struggling. And then little by little, you see all the other families that we know, like, okay, I'm kind of struggling too, and other dads like, yeah, I'm struggling the same way his dad is. And I'm, moms, oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing. And so yeah, it was inspiring in that sense because then I saw that. And I know for me, I was like, dang, I'm struggling with things young boys struggled with. And I was like, hey, and I would tell my friends at 16, 15, 16-year-old, I'm like, hey, I'm struggling with this. And they're like, hey, I'm struggling with that too. And what do it inspired me because then what did I do? I find accountability buddies. We start helping each other out. We start keeping each other accountable. We build relationships. And it made me, seeing you guys be open, help me be open because I saw when, you don't realize how everybody's struggling with the same thing because nobody says it until one person says, hey, I'm struggling. And then everybody begins to be open about
it. Okay. So let me see. All right. Let's go from kind of the bottom up. Okay.
There was one. Where is it?
Okay, so Leah says, I think I spoiled my son. So entitlement. We live in a society where we're giving children a lot of things. And when they become teenagers, it's like they feel like they deserve it. So how do you deal with entitlement? I feel like we made him entitled when he was 5 years old. We gave him everything he wanted for Christmas one year. And then he was like, where's my dinosaur? I was like, what do you mean with the dinosaur? There's an article, if you look for Shirley Solis entitlement, ShirleySolis.com entitlement, you just Google that, you'll find the article. And children today do grow entitled. So I think what we as parents have to do is like, we just go up to them and we say, I realize that I've given you too much, and I might have given you too much because I was, not giving you enough love, or I was trying to overcompensate for your dad not being here, or for me not being here, or for my emotional absence, or whatever it is, or because it was easier and I could be lazier about parenting, whatever it was, because there's a reason why we try to overcompensate with material things, and just acknowledge it and say, because I love you, I'm committed to not doing this. And this is what it looks like, this looks like I am going to make you a profitable, successful human being. And that means you're going to start doing chores and I'm not going to pay you for them. And I know you may not like me, but I love you. And that's why I'm doing this. But I feel like it starts with you opening up and admitting that you were the one that, did wrong. I would like them to be as interested in me as they are in their phones.
Ooh, let me take that.
Yeah. I would like them to be as interested in me as they are in their phones.
All right,
that's the question.
So Stephanie, all right, I would like them to be as interested in me as they are in their phones. To me, that sounds like you're not taking Stephanie enough responsibility. It's like you're I don't know how honest I can be, but it's like you're the mom. You know, it's like, oh, I would like, what are you having like a family meeting? You know, if I'm having if we're having a family meeting, let's say, or we're at dinner, and I'm just like this. Yeah, okay, mama. You know, you're just gonna sit there and take. You're not setting your boundaries. You know, and that's allowing them to be on their phone. You haven't set the boundaries. For what you want to have a certain time. So if you, let's say, I don't know what your example is for when they're on their phones, when they shouldn't be, but if I'm at dinner with my mom and I'm on my phone and she doesn't set a boundary, of course I'm going to still be on my phone. She has to say, hey, I'm trying to have this time with you. Would you mind getting off your phone? Oh, snap. I didn't know it bothered you, so I'm going to put it away.
So that happens a lot. And I get that in emails a lot, where then the teenager will answer and be like, well, I don't want to. You know, so and that happens because from the beginning, the culture in your home is not one of respect. And so one of the very first things that we work on when we work with families is we make sure that we help them create a new culture, a new environment where it is conducive to honor and respect with one another. Because just like your child wants respect, you want respect. And so if you have already created a culture of disrespect, of ignoring one another, of disregarding authority, etc., and then, you know what, as parents, we may teach them to disregard authority when we speak bad about our president, when we speak bad about our pastor, when we speak bad about whoever. You know, if it's a constant thing where you're criticizing those people in authority, or you criticize your parents, your mother, your father, then you're in essence modeling to your children, it's okay to not respect your authority. You're criticizing, you're judging your parents, whatever. You've already taught them a culture of disrespect to their authorities. And if you've never modeled healthy authority, which is unconditional love and discipline, you know, boundaries, then they're not going to understand what that looks like. So again, I would approach them and say, so the thing is not, that's it, you're not listening to me, I'm going to take that phone away from you. Because watch when I'm going to take this phone away. You know who pays this phone? I pay this phone. I'm going to pay this phone. And you know how hard I work? I mean, and I look funny right now, but let me tell you, this is what you look like, you know? And I'm going to take this phone away from you. And you know, the next time you look at me, I'm just going to slap you across the face because you don't know who you're talking to. And it's like, okay, look, stop. Do I do that real well, by the way? Like, you guys can send me a thumbs up. I've practiced a lot. Like, if we do that all the time, they're going to be like, oh, you know, like the Snoopy, whatever it's called, you know, Charlie Brown. It's like, rah, 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 rah. They just close you off because you're not being respectful when you're doing that. You're not, that's not your common culture. That is not speaking in a way that anybody's going to listen to you. Okay. One thing is to vent. That sometimes you may be like, I just need to vent. Okay, vent. But if you're venting all the time, that's not going to work. Okay. So initially and another time when you're not venting, you go up and you say, I want to acknowledge that I haven't been respectful. I want to acknowledge that I haven't set proper boundaries. I want to acknowledge that I've given you a phone that's worth $800 because that's easier than investing time with you and finding out and working on myself so that I can learn to communicate with you. I want to acknowledge that. And so I want to let you know that I care about you. I would tell my kids this, okay? And the extreme for me of winning my kids' hearts was if I have to take you and like put you in the middle of a jungle in a house with just you and I so that we can learn to communicate, I will. I was willing to do whatever, and I feel like Gus did this too. We were willing to do whatever it took to win our children's heart. Because it wasn't like we don't raise children to go, oh, well, you know, I might lose their heart. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to win it back? Or are you willing to let another 4 or 5 years go off? They leave from your house. Oh, I don't have to deal with them anymore. They go off to college. They get pregnant. They get messed up. They do drugs. Then you're hurting. Yeah, but did you do what you needed to do when it mattered? Now that you're aware, what are you willing to do? You should be willing to go to the center of the earth to win that child's heart. If you read one book, read another. If you read that one book, read a third book. If you get down on your knees every day, find out what it is. if you need to, hire someone like therapist, counselor, psychologist, coach, whatever, like do what you need to do, but learn to communicate with your child. It might take you 1 year. It might take you 2 years, like it took Gus. It might be delayed, like it took me, 2 years after that to know that I had to win his heart back. And however long it takes you, it's worth it. It's worth it because you don't want to duplicate the legacy that you inherited. You want to do something different, right? So it's worth it. How do I ask my tween boy what to do? Teen boy, what to do something without sounding like a nag?
Ask my teen boy what?
Yeah, like how do you ask him to do something without sounding like a nag?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, just explain yourself. Set the boundaries, say what you want and how you want it done. And if he doesn't do it, then you have you say the job. I want you to clean the kitchen and I want the kitchen done like this. And if he does it right, he doesn't have to hear nagging. It's simple as that. If he, however, I don't know what Eva you would describe as nagging.
Well, nagging is like over and over and over and over and over.
Well, yeah, if he continues to not do it, then he's going to have to deal with the nagging. I know for me, that's what the nagging is like. If I don't want to hear the nagging, then I'm going to do the job right. So. And
then on the part of the parent is also training ourselves to not say something without being heard. Because I wanted to know, there were times when if I would tell him to do something, and it's very typical when they're angry to then withhold and be like, well, I'm going to do it in my own time. And that's where you come in as the parent, set the strong boundary and say, it's not in your own time. It's like, I get anything else you can do in your own time, but this I need done right now. Like this garbage needs to go right now because the garbage truck is coming in an hour, let's say. But again, it goes back to, if you've lost your children's heart, you need to win it back so that they will begin to listen to you. By the time you've lost it, in essence, what they're saying is, I don't hear you. That's what happens when we don't have influence over them. It's because they stop. Like, it's almost like they have ears in their heart. They're not listening with their heart. We're talking and it's going in through here, but it's not going down to their heart. And in order for it to go into their heart, for them to connect with us, we have to humble ourselves and acknowledge where we've done wrong. Even if you've been a nag all your life, it's like, hey, listen, I have been a nag. I have gotten used to telling you things over and over and over again. Hey, I have gotten, I've told you and I've become really annoying and I've become really controlling and I don't want to be like that. I think, this is my vision for you. I want to get along with you. So tell me, what can I do to make our relationship better? Like, you have to start asking questions because they are transitioning into becoming young adults and they can give you some feedback of how would you like to communicate something? Well, ask them, how would you like me to tell you something so that I don't have to nag? But you take responsibility for the fact that you have. All right. Yeah. We were down, listen. Yeah, so Leah says, my son blames me for everything. I was in a verbal abusive marriage. My oldest son saw everything. And parents, children who were in those that have lived through those situations, they will blame one parent or the other parent. So they'll usually blame both, because they love, hate both parents because of what they've been through. So I think the best thing that you could do is heal yourself, like we've mentioned before. Take ownership for your part. Let them know that because of your lack of, emotional health and boundaries and, because of the abuse, you didn't protect him. And if you've already owned that part, then all you can do, as I did with him, was just listen, heal yourself. Hey, this now is your pain. And I remember giving him an example one time that, that he really got it. And I said, imagine that we're both riding a bicycle and you fell. We're both riding a bicycle. You fell and you get scraped on your knee. You're expecting me to do something about your scrape. No, if you get scraped on your knee, that's now your wound. Who's ultimately responsible for that wound? Obviously, after they're, old enough. Like I'm talking about 14, 15, 16. That's when I start teaching them about emotional intelligence, because they need to learn to manage those wounds. In essence, what happens is that we as humans, when we're born, we start getting these emotional wounds. You're ugly, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too tall, you have freckles, your hair is too short, your hair is too long, it's too curly, it's not curly. I don't like you, I don't want you to have been born, etc., etc. Like all these things, we get these emotional wounds. For a good period of our life, we don't know how to process them, we don't know how to handle them. But as soon as they're like 14, of course they can start forgiving when they're young, if that's part of your family culture. But in essence, when they begin to have like real awareness of what emotional intelligence is, it's around 14 when they're like, this hurts. Like what happened right now, 13, I would say 13 to 14, it's like, this hurts. And that's when you can say, I know it hurts. And that's kind of like a scrape. You now are responsible for cleaning that up. I can help you. I can give you the Band-Aid. I can give you the, whatever, and I can help you heal it. But it's your wound. I don't like that it's your wound, but it is your wound. And as you become a mature person, you have to take care of your wound. And so I gave him that example once, and he like got it, because I wish that I could have taken that wound and put it on me and healed it, but that was not for me to do. Every human in this world should learn how to handle their own emotional wounds. Sure, we have support around us to help us, but in essence, it's our responsibility to heal our wound, okay? My teen hides in her room and doesn't communicate with us. How do I reach out to her and draw her into our family? It's just like Gus said, it's just over and over and over, like continue to be persistent, let them know you love them. That child is just, they don't know that they're loved. They're hearing more of those voices in their mind that says you're not loved, you're not accepted, you're not approved, you're rejected, you're not good enough. They're hearing more of those voices than the voices that are real truth, which is you're loved, you're accepted, you're forgiven, you're valuable, you belong. So they need to hear more of that. I would try to create activities. That's why I said, if you can go on a road trip, like if you need to take them to the center of the world kind of thing, go on a road trip, put them in this car, like the movie RV. That's not crazy. I think like the reason why we learned to do family a lot is because we lived in an RV for 6 months with all of us. And that meant that we had to figure things out together. When you get a flat tire and everybody's like, what do we do? That movie RV is very true with teenagers. You put them in a car. And I remember there's a quote from there, and it says, if I forget it, but I love this one quote in that movie that is something along the lines of like, get in the car and drive. Like if you really want to become a family, get in a car and drive. Go on a 1-week road trip. Expect and hope that you get a flat tire, because that flat tire will pull everybody together and it will make you a family. It will show you what you guys are made out of. All right. And that's how you win that girl back. So what do you do instead of taking things from them? I used to, by like the time they were 14, I started asking them to manage themselves. And I transitioned from me managing them to them managing themselves. It's like, I'm not going to, first of all, I wouldn't give them a phone if they're too young, but let's say if they have a Game Boy or something, at that age, I would say, well, what do you think is going to be a good consequence for you when you don't do this? So I would ask them what their feedback was to the consequence, because I don't want to be controlling them. I just want to know what you think. And so that's them managing themselves. And that's more what we did.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'd say another part of that too is, so it's what do you do instead of taking things from them? Mm-hmm. If you just take something, oftentimes it just leaves the young person like angry and upset. And you kind of, it's more the explaining part. It's more like, do you understand why this is being taken? Oh, your phone's being taken because you didn't do your chores. Yeah, and if they keep arguing with you, then I wouldn't say it's the best time because they don't fully understand yet. So I would say it's more the explaining part, and that's why what my mom said, about how you kind of ask, she would ask us what the punishment is, or what we think our punishment, what our consequence should be for our action or inaction, because we didn't do our chore. What should our consequence be? Oh, I don't know. And then, obviously we always say something easy. Oh, we can't, I don't know, read our book or something. Try being slick and get out of it. But it's like, no, try a little bit harder. And we'd be like, okay, yeah, we probably can't go to our friend's house this weekend on Friday. It's like, okay, yeah, we lose that privilege. If you can't be nice to your little, she would really get me to understand that if I can't be nice to my little brother, then I shouldn't be hanging out with my friends and being nice with them. So it's a lot of making them understand why they're getting their consequence.
Yeah. There's when we're training children, I love that in the book of Proverbs, we have it tells us to give them to give them knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. So the knowledge is the what, the understanding is the how, and the wisdom is the why. Okay. So when they get older, we want to give them the what, like what is the rule? What is the information that you're trying to share, the principle to live by? You give them the understanding, how does it happen? And then the why. Wisdom is, why does this apply to life? So I would talk a lot with them to try to explain, not because I was making excuses or because they needed explaining, but because I literally felt like I was adding to their wisdom in explaining this is why we do it. Sometimes the moment where the anger is happening is not the best, but if you just kind of leave it be and then take it later and then share that with them and then just acknowledge, wow, you looked really angry when I took that away, or you look really angry when this happened. I know you're upset. Like, let them know that you're understanding what they're going through, and let them know that you love them. Always let them know, I love you. Don't say but. I love you, but. Don't use but. I love you. And I'm here for you. I love you, and I want to know how we can become better. I want to know you. And if there's a way that I can improve my relationship with you, I love your feedback. Eva asked, is there the right age to allow those kind of boundaries with your kids? Sure, there's the right age. Like, start asking them to set boundaries. Like, you start setting boundaries like probably around 13, so they can provide feedback from you. About 12, 13, I would say, is about a good time for you to let them know, hey, sometimes I'm not the best mommy. Feel free to let me know respectfully, and educate them on how to provide that feedback for you, okay? When you were feeling like you didn't want to talk, was it because you were angry?
Yeah, it was because I was angry. Yeah, it was just it was just anger because I told myself that I didn't need them. So the anger that just kind of pushed them away, that I didn't want to talk because I didn't want to face the pain. So,
yeah. Okay. This is awesome. This parenting class makes sense. Thank you. Best webinar ever. Trust me. I have done many. I have done countless parenting classes, never one with a child. Woohoo! Okay. This deserves a booty shake.
I'm not booty shake.
Yes, you're good at booty shake. Woo-hoo. Come on, big guy, booty shake. Woo-hoo. 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 Okay. That's awesome. You see, we just do crazy things. As part of being a parent to a teenager, you have to be willing to do crazy things. When I would start walking, like now that I have a 13-year-old, and we're walking down, the mall or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, come on, let's just hug. And she's like, I'm not gonna hug you and whatever. I'm like, if you don't start hugging me right now, I'm gonna start doing like the crazy lizard dance right here. And she's like, no. And I'm like, and she's like, oh God, okay, fine. But it's just like, you have to be willing to do crazy things to win their heart back, to not let them conform to, I don't want to touch you. I don't want to be, you're not my friend. Like, don't get off. Like, no, I'm going to be your parent. And you got to know that I'm going to do whatever it takes to win your heart. Like, they have to know. And if that means you're crazy, that means if you, have a dance party, that means, and you got to be fun too. Part of parenting a teenager means you better be a fun person. If you're like all miserable and you're always angry and barking out orders, they're not going to like you.
Yeah. Why do they want to get off their phone to be with
a grumpy person?
You. Hey, get off your phone and come have fun.
Yeah. You don't want to do that, right? Like you want to be the kind of parents that they want to hang out with. So what kind of crazy things do your dad and I do?
Oh, yeah, kind of like she was saying. I remember going to Home Depot and
Gus Jr. is 22. Someone was asking. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm 22 years old. So crazy things. Dang, what do we not do? We were just always, just our family culture in general is always that crazy fun place. Like our house is the house to go to. Our party is the party that you need to go to. Because our parties always go the same. Every year we have one party that is just like in December for my brother's birthday. That it's just like the party to go to. We're just that fun, not to blow our own whistle, but we are pretty awesome and fun. Real humble too. But,
and it's important. Like we purposely, let me show you guys what we do. I know that it's getting late, so we're going to finish this off quickly, but let me show you. Oops, oh God.
Well, I'll finish it. So like weird stuff that my mom would do is like we'd be walking and she's like, "Oh, come here, hug me." And I'm like, "I don't want to hug you." And she's like, "If you don't hug me, I'm gonna do something embarrassing." I'm like, "Okay, I don't care. Go ahead." And then she starts walking around. "Hello? I'm lost, Mom. Mom." And I'm like, "Oh, jeez." I'm like, "Can you stop?" Come, and I gotta hug her. What other crazy stuff do we do?
We jump off planes.
Yeah, we jump off planes. We go swimming in the Everglades. Our house, we always have a dance party at the beginning. We always have music going and everybody dances. We all turn up. There's nothing boring.
Okay. Yeah, and you're always, to win your children's heart, you have to be enjoying life. You have to be having fun. And I feel like the healing for Gus and I happened where, because we were so broken, we started healing our hearts. And when we healed our hearts, we could heal our life. That means we could have the joy back in life. We could have, the excitement back in life. And because we became excited about life, now we were living life. We were fulfilled with life. And that's when we could give back to our children. So we started creating this environment. And I want to share with you, this is our family mission statement, which we have to, we still have to put it on a paper, but we actually we created a family mission statement. And in our program, we guide parents through doing this. And here's the Solis family. So look at one of them the first one is, we participate in adrenaline-filled, passionate, courageous adventures.
Yeah.
We support, encourage, and love one another unconditionally. We take care of our stuff. We are good stewards. We communicate to build stronger connections. We make everything a celebration and have fun. So it's part of our mission statement to have a celebration and have fun. We maintain creative goals and visions and smart work ethics to create wealth. We grow physically and emotionally healthy and strong. We show great manners, respect, integrity, honor, loyalty in order to show our character and encourage others to do the same. We are grateful for our family, friends, and the life we live. We take personal responsibility to constantly grow and improve in every area of our life. So that was the bottom line. Like, this is who we are. And, I would encourage you that, started because we have an end in mind. We know how we want to run our family. We know how we want a relationship to run. And here is basically, I found the picture that I wanted to show you. I don't know if you can see it, but that's very similar. Do you see the gray of the picture and the gray behind? I started with the end in mind, and I would like you to do the same. And I'm going to let you guys, I don't think any additional questions came in. What is it?
I wanted to,
yeah, oh, sorry.
Where is it? Somebody asked about Sindhu asked about daughters.
Oh, this is all applies for daughters.
Yeah, it's the same thing for both. It's just different. I guess you could say different symptoms, same solution.
Yeah.
I think, where is it? She said something about all right. So daughter has anxiety issues and self-harm, and talks to everyone else but family.
Yeah.
Same thing. Just love on her, reach out, and let her know that you're there, and eventually she'll open up. You just continuous.
Take her on a road trip. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Take her on a road trip. Win her heart. You know, as much as you can, try to spend time with her. And because it's around spending time with her, I know she doesn't want to. In your normal environment, she's not going to want to. But you take her on a road trip that's not like Disney, you know, just like into the woods where you guys have to go walking, hiking, and you don't take it personal when she doesn't want to interact. But you just keep pursuing, and then just, you know, a lot of parents are like, oh, I took her for this, and she was all upset, and she didn't want to hang out with us. It's like, don't take it personal. Just like you didn't take it personal when they were pooping when they were little, don't take it personal now. They're just hurting. We've done a lot of things that have hurt them. We've done a lot of yelling. It's not easy being a child growing up like that. It's just not easy. So, you know, but you know what? I made it through. Look at me. Great. But now maybe God is asking more from you. You know, God is asking more. He wants you to grow. So now this child is showing up this way so that you would grow. Okay. Well, guys, can you post your mission statement somewhere in an email or something? So inspiring. Thank you. I missed the first 45 minutes getting my son to bed. Can I watch this again yet? Yeah, I'll send a replay for all of this. You guys, I want to thank you for being here. I want to tell you that, you know, it is our family mission to inspire other families with what we've been through, with the good, the bad, and the ugly. We love what we do. We love inspiring you. We are committed to sharing with you guys about our life. We would love for you guys to work on a more personal journey with us. I'll post our mission statement. We would love for you guys to, hold on. Give me a moment. We would love for you guys to, hold on a second. To walk on a more personal journey with us, and to get, you know, just to interact with us one-on-one. You know, if you are in this call and you really enjoyed working with us, if you like our dynamics, what we have to share, if you want to learn how to create your own family mission statement, because I know many of you are like, oh, I love that. That's exactly what we want to do. But your family is unique. I want you to create your mission statement. We want to guide you through the program that we have, Powerful Parenting Academy, to, you know, to basically create your own mission statement. I will guide you. It takes 5 videos in module 1. It's called the Awesome Family Blueprint. I will walk you step by step on how to create your own awesome family blueprint, your own mission statement. No matter if your kids are 5 years old, no matter if they're 12 or they're 22, you guys can create your own family mission statement. And it's a process. It's like very simple, you know, and to get to this, we had a bunch of other sheets that we had to do, a bunch of work. So it's not, you know, it's a simple thing, but it does take a few little steps. So I want to guide you through that, you know, identifying your core values, identifying the state that you're in right now, etc. And I want to literally take you to dream, to start with the end in mind. Many of you are not clearly focused on the kind of family that you want. That's what module 1 is in our program, Powerful Parenting Academy. Module 2, we're going to talk about character. You know, what does it look like to have character in your family? How do we discuss character in our family meetings? What is that interaction like? You know, module 2 is called Powerful and Confident Children, because I believe that character gives children the power and the confidence that they need to live in today's society, to really excel and go above and beyond. And module 3, it's totally well-rounded children. That's where we're going to teach them to do chores. You know, I bet most parents today, they don't know how to properly train children. They don't know their role between being a mom. Like, sometimes you're a trainer, sometimes you're a coach, sometimes you're a mentor, and that looks different. So we're going to give you tools to figure out what that looks like. We're going to talk to you and inspire you to go on these trips. That's all of module 3. And then module 4 is the Happy and Connected Family module, where we go deep into these emotional health things. I mean, the majority of our conversations, you know, today, the majority of things that we've talked about has to do with emotional health, with knowing about boundaries, with knowing about forgiveness. If you don't have that, if you don't know about that, if you don't know how to process your emotions, if you don't have a system to like take care of your own emotional wounds, how will you be able to teach to your children? Because the question is not if they get hurt. The truth is your children will get hurt living in your family. Not because that's just the reality. We're in denial if we think we're never going to hurt our children. We are going to hurt each other. Family is the place where the people hurt each other the most. But unfortunately, it's not been the place where we have healed. But that's only up to now, because our family is committed in teaching you how to heal how to use your family as your best accountability program, as your best system to work together, to learn to live a functional, healthy life. So allow us to do that. You guys, click on the link that is there. It's Powerful Parenting Academy. If you want to find out more, it's powerfulparentingacademy.com/join-now. Let me write it here if you guys want. It's also up on your screen, but it's www.powerfulparentingacademy.com/join-now. And you guys can join our program. You can do that for 3 payments of $187 or 1 payment of $497. We do 3 months of coaching with you, okay? Normally the videos alone are $997, and then the coaching is $297 a month, but we are looking for a 3rd beta group. We want to have 3 beta groups and close this off. And if you are that family that you really want to take this seriously, you want to work with us for the next 3 months in a very, through a very affordable price, just 3 payments of $187. There's even a PayPal option which has 0 payments and 0 interest for 6 months. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it, because it's very affordable, and we will teach you everything that we know for parenting. So you get the videos inside Powerful Parenting Academy, and you get superhero coaching for powerful parents. So we want to work directly with you when inside that program. Now, for those parents who feel like you guys are maybe struggling a little bit more, we, Gus Jr., Gus Sr., and myself, we have one-on-one coaching. And in that program, we work directly with you. Like, I work with the mom, Gus works with the dad, and Gus Jr. works with your children if they're 13 or 14 and above. He will talk to them about forgiveness, about doing their chores, about, setting boundaries. Just yesterday, he had a call with a young lady who he was teaching her how to communicate with her mom to process her emotions, and so they can begin to have a family culture that is respectful and loving. And you know what? This is what we're called to do. I hope that if you want to find out more about one-on-one coaching with us, this is the link that you guys can go to. Hold on a second. And you can schedule an appointment. It's shirleysolis.youcanbook.me. Okay, so I have both of those links up. It's powerfulparentingacademy.com/join-now. If you want to go ahead and join the next 3 months of group coaching with us, or if you need one-on-one coaching. When we do one-on-one coaching, we also include Powerful Parenting Academy. We give you the bonus videos. We give you the videos as bonus. So basically you get a $500 package as a bonus when we do one-on-one coaching with you. So you also go through that program for the next 3 months. And we coach you for a minimum of 2 months one-on-one. We coach the mom, we coach the dad, and we coach the children if necessary. So as far as I know, we're like the only people that do that. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anybody else that does that. And let me tell you, you're going to become a better parent, a better spouse, a better human being, because we in essence focus on you. We make sure that you are growing. So, all right. With that said, anything else you want to say? Any encouragement?
No, that's it.
That's it. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been super awesome sharing with you guys. I love your comments. Thank you both. Greatly appreciate your transparency. It brings so much hope to my heart. I look forward to growing with you. That's awesome. We really enjoyed the webinar. God bless you and your family. I learned so much. Thank you for sharing. It was great to hear this now to get ready for when my kids are teenagers. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a blessing. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.